What's up, good people? It is Kashaya with L's to Elevation, and today I thought I was gonna drive, but I think I got up too late uh, because I'm definitely not about to drive in a storm. It's like it's raining. It's just drizzling right now, but we'll see what it does. So I wanted to come and chime in and give my 2 cents on how I knew that my ex was DL. And so one of the first signs one of the first signs was whenever he would drink, if he drank too much, he would get real feminine, like extremely feminine. I remember one time we had went to this house party that somebody from my high school had invited us to, or invited me to, and I invited him. And so we were there at this party, and he was drinking. Okay, they were playing. I think it was pool or ping pong or pool, one of the two. And so as they're playing, I'm watching him play because he was embarrassing me. But the way he was playing while he was drinking, it was like he kept positioning his lower part to kind of be sitting on the table, like the dude he was playing against was, I guess, checking him out. I don't know. It was really weird. But anytime he would drink, he would get real feminine, like extremely feminine. Another thing that stood out to me that made me realize he was gay is there was someone in my life that was close to me who I knew at the time was gay, and it was a male. And so we had ended up having a conversation. I don't know how I even dove into that conversation. Oh, I know why. I believe it was the person at the time that this person I knew was dating looked very similar to who I was dating. And so upon getting to this activity that this person that I knew was at, the guy, my ex, literally went and sat directly in front of them. Like, they asked who the person was, and then they literally went and just sat directly. It's like they had to sit in front of that person. But the reason it stood out to me is at one point we had broke up. We used to break up on and off all the time just because of stupid stuff. He was always thirsty for attention, and he never cared where he got it from. That's another thing. He was really thirsty for attention. He didn't care where he got it from, how he got it. He just thoroughly enjoyed attention. Like, he didn't care where it came from, which side of the playing field. He did not care. But one time we had broke up and we were getting back together, and so both of us had a Tinder account. And so I realized as I was scrolling through Tinder that he was on there. And it was funny because I had went back through some of my old Tinder messages, and he had actually tried to talk to me on Tinder before I actually ended up meeting him. But in doing so, in scrolling through or whatever, I realized that he was still on Tinder. And so both of us was like, okay, we'll delete our Tinder accounts. And we decided that we were going to exchange phones to see, like, who was on our Tinder profiles. He took my phone, looked through all of the guys, but for some reason, he put like extra emphasis on certain guys that were on my Tinder profile. And he would literally scroll through the entire conversation and just kind of laugh. And you know how y'all probably saying that doesn't necessarily mean he's gay. On the Tinder profile, I don't know, because I haven't had an online dating account in a while, but on the Tinder profile there used to be like your preferences, right? If you want male, female, or both, check those settings if y'all going through y'all dudes profiles. So That was that with the Tinder account. It was like he was just really focused on certain guys. It was just like I don't know, he just kind of zeroed in on that. What else? I remember one time, and this kind of piggybacks off of the Tinder. So if you scroll through Tinder enough in your area, you realize that most of the dudes within your community, a good bit of them are on Tinder. So if you go outside and you just enjoying nightlife or whatever it is you're doing, you realize that you see the guys that have profiles on Tinder. And so one night, we had went out to a bar, and one of the guys that had a Tinder profile was out at the same bar that we were at. Now, I'm very observant. Like I watch people, but I don't say nothing. And so we were at this club. I think it was an all-white party at the time. And the guy that was on the Tinder profile, he was there with the girl that he was with, right? But I noticed what he did is not only did he look at me, but he looked at my ex. And he kept kind of going back and forth between me and my ex. So my ex noticed that the guy was checking us both out, right? My ex took it upon himself to not only go to the bar and get us drinks, it was like how he stood at the bar, he kind of positioned himself to be seen from the back. And I just kind of watched it, and I was just like, you know how as females, sometimes you'll go somewhere and you might position yourself to where your behind is sticking out more. You know how you watch some females videos and they'll be doing something and they just have to zoom in and focus on their behind jiggling or something stupid and childish. Grown women do it too, unfortunately. But it was kind of like that. It was like he was wanting to be seen by this guy, and it was just a flag to me. It just flagged me. It was like, why are you so adamant about making yourself seen, and then you were also kind of positioning yourself in a way that a woman would do with a man? And so that was one thing. Another thing was, he claimed he did not like homosexuals. Claimed he did not like homosexuals, that he wasn't gay, etc., etc. But again, when he had knowledge of who was homosexual, it was like he always positioned himself to be seen in front of said person. Always. Like, always. I remember one time we were having a conversation, and it was about like gay guys, and it never failed. He always wanted to see the person. He always wanted to see the dude. It don't even matter how the conversation started or what came up, or if we were out somewhere. He just always had to see what the gay person looked like. What else? I think that is the majority of the things that stood out to me. When he got drunk, he was very feminine, like overly feminine. Like watching him around other guys while drunk was very telling. He always wanted to know who the gay guys was, even though he claimed he didn't like homosexuals. He always wanted to position himself in some way to be seen or visible by said homosexuals or gay people that he claimed he didn't like, or that he claimed he wasn't a part of. And the Tinder profile settings. What else? Oh, so this ex that I'm talking about, he is the cyber geek. Okay, he's the one that I know for a fact studied cybersecurity, and he would like get into all of my stuff, and so he had it to where he would leave his accounts and passwords on his computer. And so, of course, dealing with the foolishness that came with our relationship, I learned a few things, but clearly not enough to defend myself. But he had all of his emails and login stuff on his computer. And so one of the email accounts that he had was affairalert.com. And when I went to see what Affair Alert is, it's basically for people who are going to sleep with people that are married or already involved. He had an account like that. Another thing that was interesting that I this is gonna be wild, but I'm just saying it applies to my situation. I cannot guarantee that it's gonna apply to yours. But for the guy that I was dealing with, he had a Reddit account, and there's something with like usernames. Sometimes it's like a signal, an unknown signal to other DL men, where they would make a username, but only certain things would kind of be reversed or inverted. And so let's say they might have had a name that was dealing with a sports player. What they would do is they would swap the first initials of that sports player, and that would be their username. And so even on Reddit, there are ways for DL men to communicate or talk or link up with other DL men. And there's certain ways that they utilize, like how they do their names or other little odd stuff. And so that was the gist of how I knew he was DL. Another thing that I noticed with someone that I talked to was they had this very, very, very close male friend. And it was like they were always together, but one person never really talked. They didn't really talk too much, but they were always together. I remember one time I was going to their place. I had just got off work or running to the store or something. When I get back to the house, he made it seem like he was running outside to check something, and made it seem like he was coming from the back of the house. But really what he did was he ran out the front door of the apartment and then came in kind of sweaty or razzled through the back door to make it look like his friend was just there and he was just walking in or whatever from doing something. But another thing that I thought was odd or interesting is that one night he didn't come to the apartment. Like, he didn't come back to the apartment. And so when he got back and I asked him what happened, he was saying that him and all his friends supposedly had this big sleepover. Mind you, it was like 10 or 12 of them, like the males. And I'm like, so what? And so when he was telling me, you know, about this sleepover that all of these dudes had, he was saying how all of them slept or different things like that. And I'm listening, but I'm like, I mean, it don't make sense, really. Because most of the guys all had girlfriends. All of them, for the most part. I think it was maybe one at the time who didn't have a girlfriend. But mostly everybody in that group had a girlfriend. And so I thought it was very strange that like 15 or 20 dudes were all at this sleepover. And then the way that he was describing how they all slept in the bed or just randomly fell asleep, I was like, Okay. But there was also a video on YouTube about this particular person, and they were dancing. And so I saw the video, which was the crazy part about it when I later put the two together. It was a video of him in jail, and he was dancing um, with this group of guys. But whoever the person was in jail recording, they were recording saying that was the group of gay people in jail. I have not been able to find that video again. But the reason it stood out to me is because the person has a very distinct dance. Like they dance, the way they dance is very distinct. And so it was him in that video. Chocolate guy had on whitey tighties or whatever, but he was dancing in the video. I can't find the video. I have not been able to find that video again. But when I ended up seeing him dance one time, the two things clicked in my head. And so I don't know. He would also like to wear my bras. Like one time, and I don't know if guys just do that just because, but I don't recall no other guy. He was the only person that I know that did some weird stuff like that. But I had a bra that he just wanted to try on, and he tried it on in the mirror and like literally took a picture of himself in it. And I'm just like, okay. But all of those were signs that I sadly at the point didn't take as serious as I should have until it was too late. Outside of a grown man sending you a backshot picture, I don't know how louder that can get. I realize a lot of DL dudes, they sadly like to tell you they're gay without telling you they're gay. And I've come to the conclusion that they do so because in some sick way, I guess it makes them feel less bad because it's like they told you, but you didn't catch that they were telling you. So, I don't know. Now, after what I've been enduring because of DL men, I'm leery of any man that does certain things, that's been certain places. It's just a no for me. But that's my tidbit on how I knew something went right with the people I was attracting. So yep, that's it. It's clearly pouring down, raining, so I'm gonna try to make it back and I guess find something to do inside. But that's my tidbit on how I knew my ex was gay, bisexual, DL, whatever you want to call it. But love you later.